I actually can't see who's on the call. Oh, recording in progress. Okay, cool. Cool. So I can't see who's on the call, but great to meet all of those that I haven't met before. Okay, so very high level. I guess like, do you guys know what the basis trade is?
Yeah.
Yes.
Me
Okay,
not.
cool.
but
Just in case, I'll like very quickly go over it. But essentially, in cryptocurrency markets, you have financial instrument called the perpetual swap, perpetual contract, that is the most traded financial instrument overall, right? And the way that you can think about this perpetual contract is that it is a futures contract with no expiration date. And in order to do that, it needs to keep its price in line with the underlying asset. So with the spot price, it represents. The way it does that is through and like there are a couple like different like factors that like usually come into like the calculation of funding rate, but the way that it does that it like maintains usually its price pegged to the underlying spot asset is through this mechanism called a funding rate. In crypto, there's a very interesting phenomenon that that basically makes it so that long traders usually pay a small fee to short traders, and that's like really kind of what it all comes down to. Our project, Lemma, is makes use of that phenomenon, and the way that we do it is, so I'll actually just go through the user flow. So let's say a user comes to Lemma with 1 Ethereum, and they deposit that 1 Ethereum. We'll take that 1 Ethereum, move it over to a decentralized derivatives exchange, and basically use it as collateral to go short 1 Ethereum, essentially building a market neutral position, right? So you have long exposure to the price of Ethereum via your spot collateral, and you have short exposure to the price of Ethereum via the short perpetual contract. At that point, what we do is that we issue basically a stablecoin against that market neutral position. So let's say the price of Ethereum is worth $1,000. What we'll do is that we'll enter into the short, and that short, value will be $1,000. And so our overall portfolio position on that derivative DEX will be worth $1,000. And against that portfolio value of $1,000, we'll issue $1,000 worth of stablecoin. Our stablecoin is called USDL. As I mentioned before, long traders usually pay short traders, which means that just by holding this market neutral position, we get paid a small fee about 90% of the time. And by the way, like having a market neutral position on which you collect, funding on the short side of the trade is called basis trading. For those of you in the crypto trading know that basis trading is one of the most popular strategies, period. Like pretty much every single fund from DRW to Three Arrows has done millions, if not billions of dollars worth of that trade.
Okay.
We have one more small nuance, which is that essentially when we constructed our stablecoin, what we did is that we separated out the stablecoin from the actual yield. So what that means is that USDL, the stablecoin that I just mentioned, does not produce any yield. It is just a decentralized, 100% capital efficient USD pegged stablecoin. In order to access the yield from the basis trade that I described before, you actually need to stake your USDL. And when you stake your USDL, you get back what we call XUSDL, which is, once again, just staked USDL. And when you stake your USDL, essentially what you get access to is the equivalent of leveraged basis trading, which is basically basis trading returns for your own USDL, as well as all of the unstaked USDL. Leverage basis trading is an incredibly profitable strategy. We've run some back tests over the past 5 years on BitMEX, for example, and not only has it outperformed, holding Bitcoin in absolute returns, it just completely blows it out of the water in terms of Sharpe ratio too. That was kind of the end of my rant. Does anybody have any questions?
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
I guess, does the protocol interact with decentralized exchanges as well, or just the focus is on decentralized?
Yeah, it's purely decentralized. This entire protocol is entirely non-custodial. So non-custodial, permissionless. Yeah.
So which exchanges do you use, under the hood?
Sure. So the first one we're launching on is MCDEX, and we actually just created the ETH margin perpetual swap market on there last weekend. We're going to be adding a lot of liquidity over the next few weeks. But yeah, we're launching on MCDEX, expanding to perpetual protocol V2 when they launch, I believe late October, early November, and then future swap. All three of which are going to be launching on Arbitrum. So it'll actually be super easy for us to expand to all three. And after that, we're actually also starting to chat with we're also working with DYDX to see how we could potentially expand to their platform. I actually have a call with Antonio and BJ later tonight about that.
Well, and
can you explain some of the? Sorry.
I was just gonna. Is there a mechanism to unwind the perp versus spot when funding rate goes negative?
Currently, we are not unwinding the trade when the funding rate goes negative. Basically, we're just keeping it short all the time. Quite simply, there is not enough liquidity to do that right now. But we are growing the market by essentially creating an insane amount of open interest. And so I believe that as we grow the market and as more volume comes to these derivative dexes, we'll have the opportunity to expand our strategy and start unwinding and placing limit orders to arbitrage out of some of the negative funding rates.
You mentioned using leverage in either the perpetual, I'm assuming on the perpetual side. And what are the risk characteristics that you guys deem acceptable with that, and how do you unwind if that position is going to get potentially underwater, or you close to liquidation if it's permissionless? What oracles do you use for defining that, and what is the risk characteristics associated with that unwinding process?
Sure. So first of all, there are basically no liquidation risks. I try to be careful when I use the word leverage in this particular context, because people think oh, leverage, that means there's liquidation risk. Here, that is not the case, right? Because essentially, what's happening is that you're borrowing unstaked USDLs, basis trading returns for free, which means that there is also no liquidation risk, right? So basically, it's free leverage, if you will.
Oh, I see. It's not leverage in the perp. It's leveraged through this mechanism. I see.
Exactly. So no
right.
liquidation.
Do you think there could be a design not related to your current product, but a design where you would like use margin on the perp to actually gain like larger exposure in the perp market?
That's not possible. Quite simply, just because in order to have a market neutral position, you need to have an equal amount of like spot and short exposure, right? So as soon as you start using margin, what you're doing is that you're increasing your, basically like perpetual exposure by more than like your spot collateral. So you cannot use margin to increase that essentially. And that said, that is only the case if you can't use leverage to also borrow spot. But currently, like there are like no like even in CeFi, I don't believe like there's like anywhere where you can like do under collateralized spot and perp borrows. Although I might be wrong on that, but BitMEX, which is probably like the most like popular exchange for like the basis trade, for example, does not have like under collateralized spot like borrowing. Yep. Any other questions?
You mentioned that there's basically no risk of liquidation. Can you like expand on what basically no means, and like I guess what sort of like the other like what
Sure.
what are the risks there?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, the only way we could potentially be liquidated is if there were a divergence of 100% between the index, so spot, and perpetual futures price on the derivative DEX. Obviously, that is like pretty much impossible unless the DEX is exploited. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah, it's basically just a risk of a like derivative DEX exploit.
Gotcha. And then in the white paper, there's also a mention of a governance token. Would you just go a little bit into what the purpose of that token is and how it relates to the rest of the protocol?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we're going to be using the governance tokens for a bunch of different stuff, namely risk management. So, for example, setting debt ceilings on which derivative DEXs we use, right? So let's say that we attribute like more risk to MCDEX than perpetual protocol, then it only makes sense that we would have more of our funds on perpetual protocol than MCDEX. And similarly, we can conduct this trade with any cryptocurrency, right? It's not just like Ethereum, right? It's like any cryptocurrency that has a perpetual swap market, right? So like one of the other use cases would be deciding which cryptocurrency backs the stablecoin, as well as the various like debt ceilings for each cryptocurrency backing it. I mean, like these are just kind of like free, kind of two or three like super like straightforward use cases, but there are like plenty. Yep.
You guys been audited?
Yes, by Tech Shield. And we're going to be conducting another audits like with ABDK and Code Arena.
And what's your timeline for launching?
We're trying to launch in the next like few weeks. yeah, I would say like next like couple weeks. Like really what we're like really focusing on right now is just increasing the liquidity. So like of the AMM on MCDEX that we're launching on, as well as getting all of the market makers that we've partnered with onboarded. So for example, like 3 of our investors are actually market makers, and 2 of them are in DeFi. So we're getting both of them to help us out on that front.
Cool. Well,
I've got a question,
go
but
ahead, Martin.
you farm. So what is farmable? So you take your ETH and then you get this dollar stack back stable, this stable coin. You take the stable coin, stake it, and then you get the exposure to the yield. But your token you're planning, is it also farmable? You incentivize liquidity price by the project token, or?
So first of all, like the process you actually just described, like is automated, right? So like I just kind of gave you the very long version of it, but on our UI, it's actually just going to be a single vault where you can deposit USDC, USDT, or even ETH, right? And so like with USDC and USDT, what we'll do is that we'll take those, convert them to ETH via 1inch, and then basically engage in like the basis trade that like I talked about before. And if it's ETH, we'll just like use that directly. But like, and then like, once we've kind of like minted like USDL, we'll automatically stake it on your behalf, right? So like, it'll just be like 1-click process to like start generating yield on your assets. And I'm afraid I didn't really get like your like question, unfortunately.
Yeah, the second question: how do you distribute your token, your token of the project?
How do we distribute the token?
Yeah, your project. I guess you said you have like a token. The project has a token.
Sorry, I think there's just like a lot of noise here. It's really hard to like.
I'm sorry, I repeat. You have a token yourself. The project has a token, a Lemma token.
Yeah, that's
and how
correct.
do you
Yes.
distribute that? People who use your products get rewarded, or?
Yeah, so we haven't like quite decided on that yet. I think that like there are a couple like different ways that we can do it. Obviously, like retroactive like airdrops are something, but are like something we're thinking about. We don't have like any current liquidity mining program in place, simply because like honestly we don't really need like like people are like we're already like very oversubscribed on our vault. Like this is obviously a very very attractive like yield generation opportunity.
Yes.
Since we're like basically like allowing people to like borrow USD for free just to do basis trade, when a lot of like the people that like we talk to like these funds that I mentioned like usually pay like 15% APYs to do this. But yeah, so currently no need for it, but we're definitely thinking about like obviously like rewarding our early users. So there will like very probably be like a retroactive airdrop.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Well, I don't want to take up too much of the meeting because I know we have DeFi Dad with another project. But yeah, if anyone has any other questions.
Yep, I have a quick question.
Okay.
Do we have a statistics for the funding rate? Or another question would be, does that mean if the funding rate is kind of negative, that ETH is earning, or if it's positive, USD like stable coins earning? So it's only one or the other case. So that means like sometimes the farmer with ETH will not be earning kind of the
Yeah,
basis.
that's correct. There are periods of negative funding rates, which means that like we are essentially losing money. That said, like so if you guys like type in Google earning DeFi yield via basis trading, we wrote an article which has like backtest statistics, et cetera, on what the returns have been over the past like 3 and 5 years. So that will be a good thing. The other thing is that basis trading is and the reason that like funding rates are positive are twofold, right? Like number one, it is because obviously there are a lot more long traders than short traders in crypto, but it's also because Bitcoin is a lot cheaper to borrow than USD, right? And when you think about it, going long means that you're borrowing USD to buy Bitcoin, right? And when you're going short, you're borrowing Bitcoin to sell Bitcoin. And essentially, because once again, borrowing Bitcoin is cheaper than borrowing USD, that means that long traders have to pay short traders. So, like those are kind of like the two main factors that like allow funding rates and even like, like push funding rates to be positive most times.
Okay, but now it's kind of negative in DEX, and then you guys strategy is short ETH. Oh,
Sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I mean, right now your description on your docs said the current funding rate is negative, which is on euro.
Oh yeah, that's for yeah, those docs are outdated. Last time I updated those docs was 4 or 5 months ago. So okay. I would recommend you read the white paper I sent out rather than the docs.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, on MCDEX the funding rates are positive, and they like very positive in fact.
Okay, got it.
Cool. Well, I think we can maybe leave that there. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Matthew. That was really, really helpful. And yeah, looking forward to just like continuing the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for listening to my rant. It was fantastic meeting all of you, and thank you for the insightful questions.
Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll talk.
Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, I think it will be helpful to send across the white paper and anything you think relevant, for people to read. Yeah. Because we give people 3 days to actually research on this, right, before we go into the voting process. So
absolutely. I'll share all the relevant materials with Kearney.
Cool. Should we also open like a specific channel in Discord for each of the project? Maybe it's close to the Boule member, so we can discuss whatever project that's been presented.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you're talking about like creating a Discord like channel on our Lemma Discord or on your Aladdin Discord?
Aladdin Discord.
I think on our Discord. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, for sure. Would be happy to join that.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, we can do this. Just yeah. We will. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know. We're running out of time, so we can discuss more, I guess. Yeah, I have a few organizational things, I guess, before DeFi is taken over, and this is very basic stuff. One is that I made a Google sheet with every date who is like a research meeting, and the people who are I ask people to fill in to take a spot there, and we will wait some time. And if people don't take a spot, we will, I guess, just randomly assign a spot, and then you have to tell us you can't at this date, and then we have to shift it. And there's like this is I post the link again in the chat right now for this document, and it's public readable and writable. This one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Matthew,
once again,
sorry, we're kind of we're moving
sorry.
into like
Yeah.
the next phase of the meeting where we're going to
Yeah,
talk about
sorry.
just like DAO housekeeping stuff. So if you got to run,
Yeah.
that's totally cool. Thanks so much for
Yeah.
joining us.
cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye.
All right, take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
Take care.
I'm sorry I didn't get that. Then we use on Google Drive. There's some documents, and people wrote me. Sometimes people ask for access to the document directly, but this is a little bit of a problem because I don't know who is behind this request, and some of the documents are like open, and so preferred would that you write me an email with your Google Doc access, because we don't want to be everything really open and accessible for all, because sometimes it's not clear who asks for access, and then I can't give access. But this document is open totally. So then I made a Notion who is like public, and I think this will be the spot where we communicate the research meeting or the project and the link to the recording for the general public, and maybe also link to the voting for us. And then what else it is? Yeah, we were thinking, I pasted afterwards in the Discord. We have internally thinking about to make like more rule of conduct for Boule members. And I think we will discuss this in a later call, but I made like a draft, or we made like a draft, which the duties you have to fulfill. And I post in the Discord afterwards. And if there's any feedback, it's just to collect some feedback, and maybe we just discuss this in another call. It's not very important to fix this now. And then the next is about voting process. So the next 3 days would be for us to research about the project, and then voting will start on Monday and will run for 3 days. So I guess everyone has enough time to look at the project and then vote about the project. And one thing we don't know now, because the project, Lemma project, in fact, it's not live, so we can't integrate this, but maybe we can vote now and integrate it later.
Well, so I wanted to say something about this. I was sort of oscillating between whether I should pick Lemma. I think because Matthew was like really ready to engage, I thought it was like a good example of a project that's like right at this stage where they're mostly they're mostly ready to go live, but not like completely there, and they're still at a point where I think they're like open to like early partnerships, and I kind of wanted to use it as like a conversation starter for us. I mean, I don't want to take up too much more time because we've already spent a lot of time on Lemma, but sort of like just starting to think how we can form partnerships with like projects that are more kind of just starting out but promising. So yeah, it feels like not really at a state, like, it's not really live yet. And I was talking to Matthew more in detail around their roadmap, and they're like, they have a cap on how much they're going to take at the beginning, and then progressively increase that as they have, basically just as like a security measure. They're gonna like take something like a couple hundred ETH to begin with, and just take it from there. But I think Matthew was really interested in AladdinDAO and really excited, and so maybe there's sort of some partnership that can come out of it. So that was kind of my hope in bringing him on. And yeah,
the thing is, integration needs time too. So I don't know, maybe it's a non-issue. We can vote about this. And the other thing is that now we have like 4. Now we have 2 projects each meeting, and then, but at the end, the idea was to integrate 4 projects, I guess, a month, and not 8. So, but I don't know how we figure this out, which one then we take, really. But yeah, I think we should just start and vote, and then maybe see the issues arise and then fix it and discuss about this.
Yeah, can I just add one quick comment, right? This is potentially what we can do, because I got consistent feedback from people, right? That they love our research meeting, right? They think, this is, really, like, they never seen anything like this, right? In crypto, right? And just, serious, and, academic, right? And just analytical, right? And people are really learning, right? And so a number of founders actually, ask if we can be on, these research meetings, and you can have, the Boule, right? Because, these people are smart and influential. Can you get these people to talk about our projects and just analyze, pros and cons, right? And talk about it in the public and to, the broader community, right? And so potentially, I think, we can turn our research meeting into a product itself, right? And there is potentially a business model here. Is, we can do this as, for new and risky farms, right? And we can just provide some like airdropping services, right? Like people can stake AladdinDAO token, right? And to get, these tokens, right? And we can just, service them as an educational and community building event, right? And that's just an idea, because I have, got that, from a number of people who are interested, right? But how we just, I think if we open this, probably there will be huge demand, right? And there will be all over, projects all over coming in and ask, to be discussed and presented at the research meeting. So how we, manage that, who we present and not, that will become, another issue, we need to discuss. And I think that will be very good value capture for, Aladdin tokens, right? Because, basically there are two types of farms, right? For the stable and proven farms, right? I think, that's straightforward, right? And so we discussed, like in the last few meetings, our strategy, is to integrate the stable and, like proven farms at the beginning, right? So we want to stay on the conservative side, on the technical side, right? We want to prove that we are better tested first, right? But for the new and the risky farms, right? Since we have, all the resources, we have the big brains, we have the marketing power, right? And potentially we can do this, as an educational community building services, right? And in turn, right, and Aladdin holders can get this, right? And it's a real benefit, right? I think, there's another product called Pancake on Binance Chain. They are doing this really well, right? And so basically you can stake that token to get, like staking income across, many other projects, right? And just, users love it, right? Just stake that token and get all different things. So this is something, potentially we can do. And I just, throw the idea out there and, for discussion.
Yeah, maybe we need just a second meeting who is then like, who is more open, or everyone can join. Not everyone, but Boule members can join, but they don't have to. Then it's more, yeah. But I think, now I guess we should have divided with this project. But I think it's it's a very good idea. Yeah, of course, surely.
Yeah, definitely echoing what Sherilyn was saying too. I am excited for once we get past this initial like bootstrapping phase with the liquidity mining. I think it is important to I'll say I think it's important to consider allowing for token holders to start to earn some sort of like a fee and implementing that. So anyways, that'll be hopefully a later discussion, like across the whole DAO. It doesn't just need to be the Boule. Cool. Well, actually, my presentation too here, this is honestly perfect timing, because I probably only need like 5 to 10 minutes, which leaves like time for more questions. I would say just forewarning, the one thing I'm not going to go into depth on, and I think this is where we really need more of the team here to do some digging, is one of the dependencies on implementing this farm that I'm going to present, which is Orion money, is it's all possible because of the Anchor protocol on Terra. And so Anchor protocol has been, I would argue, has been one of like the more successful DeFi protocols since the spring. It's got this wild mechanism for being able to pay a stable rate of around 19 to 20%. It has maintained that rate since then, even though there's been, I think, like a 80 or 90% drawdown in the underlying collateral called Luna, which is the native token of Terra and helps to back this decentralized stable coin called UST. So anyways, this is all on Ethereum, though, what I'm going to show you. So this is cross-chain DeFi. This is like real, like money Legos interacting across different chains. Okay, cool. So with that preview, if anyone watches this in the future on a live stream, just, quick reminder, I've been in Ethereum crypto since about 2017. I've worked with countless teams, mostly as a volunteer or member of these different DAOs or whatever the hell they were before they became DAOs. And then I previously worked at places like Consensus and Zapper and continue to be an advisor to Zapper. But now I'm a full-time investor working with our portfolio companies at Fourth Revolution Capital. So it's 4RC, and you can check that out at fourthrevolution.capital. Okay, so Orion Money, in a nutshell, it wants to be a cross-chain stablecoin bank. So the name of the game here is how can you earn yield with any of the more popular stablecoins? And that thankfully includes, the likes of, DAI, USDC, Tether, and some algo stablecoins like Frax. But I would say the biggest opportunity here is to use the UST stablecoin, which is what you mint when you use the Anchor protocol on Terra. I'm not going to talk about Terra here as much. Most of my time is still spent on Ethereum, but I think that the Terra ecosystem, in terms of their DeFi ecosystem, is one that mirrors a lot of the things that I love about Ethereum. So I'd encourage anyone to start to dig into Terra itself. It's really about, it's not really meant to be an alternative L1. There's more of a focus on building the best decentralized stablecoin, period. And they've got a really compelling value prop on Terra with this Anchor protocol, because you are minting a stablecoin that is backed by liquid staking derivatives, which in this case are they call it bonded ETH, so it's just Ether, which all of this happens through Lido. So you're taking a liquid staking derivative, and then again you're able to mint these stable coins, and that has just a really compelling value prop because of all of the challenges we've seen with other stable coins that have been relatively successful, like DAI, or the more centralized versions like USDC. So anyways, if you like the idea of a decentralized stablecoin, check out Terra. Orion is going to allow us to deposit stablecoins on Ethereum. So this could be eventually, obviously, through the AladdinDAO dashboard. And then you can earn anywhere from 13.5 to 20% APY. You optimize your yield when you deposit UST. So there's a number of choices here. I'm not quite sure if we should enable those choices if the Boule votes to approve this, but 16.5% is the rate that is stable. That's been there now, I think, for a few months. They are obviously taking a cut from the Anchor protocol is actually paying out about 19.5%. So there's a nice spread there to to be able to continue to pay that 16.5%. And then the only other thing to consider here is if one chooses, let me go to this. If one chooses to be paid in Orion versus stablecoin yield, you can earn more. And so this is something that I'm not expecting we'll be able to do because it does require some additional steps of depositing Orion. But here's a nice simple diagram of this on the DApp. Actually, let me just go to the DApp. Here it is. So you've got UST, which again actually lives on Terra normally. So this is wrapped UST on Ethereum. And then here's all the other stable coins, excluding Orion. And that's it. You just go in and you deposit UST, DAI, whatever. You don't have to dump a token. So this is a stable rate. Let me see if I've got like a nice little synopsis here. We've got that stable rate, which is high. This is a rate that should hold up for years. So this is all assuming that Anchor can continue to be successful. It is the flagship protocol of Terra. At this point, if you look at some of the numbers in terms of the amount of money that has been deposited and that growth since March. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, I think I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Oh no, yeah, this is it. This is March 18th, 2021. So we've continued to see this premier collateral deposited, which at this point is Luna and bonded ETH, or just think of it as like a liquid staking derivative of ETH. And folks that are depositing this are giving up their right to the staking rewards. And so you can imagine once there's bonded Sol, bonded DOT, and so on, like you've got all these other forms of premier collateral. And so it's a really clever way to create a decentralized stablecoin, and it's working really well. So there's all of that. I'm trying to think of what else here to call out. I think I covered most of it. So just quick synopsis again on this is you're depositing a stable coin, you're earning your yield denominated in that stable coin, which I think is very appealing for the average user. You're benefiting from this Anchor protocol rate, but you can continue to live on Ethereum, which is obviously our home with Aladdin DAO, unless we go multi-chain in the future. And this is a strategy that's just, it's easy. I do envision in the future that it would be necessary to have a type of smart contract insurance. At this point, the Nexus Mutual insurance for Anchor protocol has been normally maxed out. There's so much demand for it. So take that as you will. Just the fact that there's already a market that not only is using this, but is maxing out the insurance, paying about 1% to 2%. So there's clearly some sophisticated money in this. What else here? Yeah, I guess then, yeah, just to summarize today, there is, how much money do we have in this? We have about 3 billion of collateral that's been deposited. Some of the obvious things that we look for, like there have been 3 audits since June. We know that still there could be some underlying vulnerability, but that's promising. So the team's kind of taken all of the usual steps and been, mindful to be audited. Trying to think of anything else here to really cover. I love this protocol because of the fact that you're able to just deposit stable coins, earn yield denominated in the stable coin you put in, and not have to farm and dump. I've always been bothered by exposing newer folks in the community to this, because they see these like high APYs, they get really excited, and then they learn over time that, well, actually that yield was maybe misleading. because they don't understand the dynamic of like the reward tokens market price could tank, and now the yield obviously looks deplorable. And so if we're looking for long-term yield, I don't know of anything else like this. There's other yield that could be much higher over the next few months, but the ability to earn 16.5%, 20% if we implemented the ability for them to earn the yield in the Orion token, which again then sort of negates this like no need to farm and dump unless someone wants to accumulate the Orion token. I think this is an outrageous opportunity. This is one that actually could be up on AladdinDAO for the next few years. So, all right, I'll stop there. Do you all have any questions I can help with?
One thing that I am thinking here is like, so basically Orion is taking, it's like an interface to Anchor.
Yeah.
And if that, I mean, it's sort of like if they're going to take a 3% cut off of that, like, is that something that we could just do the same infrastructure ourselves and just swap, you know, USDC for UST, put that in Anchor and just, you know, abstract and save that 3 or 4%, which would be quite a bit. I haven't thought through like the complications.
No. You're asking the right question. Like I've thought of that too before, and the short answer would be I'd be open to other folks that you know are developers weighing in on this. But yeah, there is right now. If I deposit UST, you know, you notice that I pay that much less gas because I've got my UST, and then Orion is able to bridge over to Terra and deposit it into Anchor, which there's like an earn tab in the Anchor protocol app. But if we're talking about depositing, let's say Tether USDC, Frax, BUSD by Binance, they have a curve pool set up, so they're swapping that. And yeah, it is. There's no doubt there's a sizable rate there. One thing I didn't call out here is there's definitely some centralized risk in using that bridge. As far as I know, like it's like a lot of the bridges where there's clearly risk that one needs to be made aware of versus I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what is a reliable bridge at this point that doesn't have centralized risk. So anyways, but yeah. Great point. Would love to get feedback on that if folks think it's feasible. My gut is that it's probably more work than what it's worth, and that at least in the short term, you know, when we're looking to be this curation dashboard and get opportunities up. The reason I'm most excited about this is I just think a lot of people don't know about it. It's around 70 million total value locked. There's still a major separation between the Ethereum and Terra ecosystems, and you know, their goal here is they kind of want to be like a bridge to like say like, hey, like there is some cool stuff being built elsewhere. You can benefit from that yield, but you don't have to go set up a Terra wallet. But obviously you are still exposed to those smart contracts in the Anchor protocol on Terra.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Also, I think it, you know, like you're saying, we could get this up next week, and then if we decide, you know, oh wow, there's $10 million going there, and we feel we can develop, you know, our own smart contract that'll do the same thing for the $400,000 we save, you know, a year. By cutting out the Orion fees, then we can optimize for that like later on. But yeah, I think it's a really cool project.
Absolutely. Yeah. And also, I think something that struck me as we were talking to Lemma Finance is it actually would make a lot of sense in the future to have a follow-up of bringing that team onto another call and letting the Orion money team sort of speak to the opportunity here. I think they'd be really helpful in helping us to understand what's under the hood there. And yeah, no, I would love to introduce them sometime. I am not an investor in Orion, but I have been farming it lately, so just want to disclose that in case I have any bias, of course, just having farmed some of the Orion token already. Any other questions about this?
Hi, hello. I'm not sure if it's so if I deposit stable coin onto Orion, is it reward in return of Orion token or just the stable coin interest?
So you will earn it denominated in whatever it is here. So you would earn it in DAI, Tether, USDC, and so on. Yeah. So you can.
There's no token reward, right?
So you have the option. They cleverly give the more of an incentive, of course. You can earn. This isn't live yet. This is so the farm here has been live. This has been live, I think, for about 1.5 months, maybe. But then the ability to earn Orion goes live next week. So the token just was generated in the last week or two. And so, yeah, that was one of the choices that I thought would be helpful is, it would be awesome if this was supported on AladdinDAO. It would be great to give users that option because they're going to see 16.5% in UST, 20% in Orion, which is, a pretty big difference. But then, of course, you assume the risk of holding a token here that is not pegged to the US dollar.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, at current stage, I think my concern is that the protocol seems quite simple. So, for example, maybe AladdinDAO can also copy the same idea, adding a pool. So basically, it's very easy to bridge your UST to Terra and
I agree. Yeah.
So this is my concern right now.
I agree. It is. It's once you set up a Terra wallet, you're like, okay, will this continue to work? And I think the short answer I've come away with is, I think it's because for you and me and others here, once you do that, you say, oh, it's so easy. Why wouldn't someone do it? But it takes so much to get someone just to use a MetaMask wallet. I'll say using a different browser extension wallet, it takes some courage and bravery. I do think that, again, short term, AladdinDAO, while time is precious, it's just important that we get some farms up. We want to, of course, get the best farms up. But it's about proving that value. It's almost like when you have an insurance mutual like Nexus, we've always been excited to pay out, which is kind of the opposite of what people would think. You're like, why would you want to do a payout and lose money? And you're like, because you want to prove that this thing works. And that's what I want to see with Aladdin is easy, high yield here, stable coin based. Here's how you do it. So.
Yeah, sure. It depends on what they're going to do with what they're going to work with token economics with Orion token, I guess.
That's right. And that's something I haven't presented on it, but there is I think there's an underlying buyback mechanism. I'm clearly not very familiar with it, but there is some incentive for someone if they want to earn that higher yield in Orion. There's an underlying mechanism there to, I think, continue to buy more Orion as there's more usage of this. But yeah, anyways, my main takeaway is I just look at the yield and go, that's pretty freaking high. And if I'm not willing to go use Anchor on Terra, it might be very appealing to me. How about any other questions we can cover or comments, feedback on this?
I guess the primary concern for this is that the Anchor protocol is actually cash flow negative. I don't think their lending or staking yields covers the interest payments. So they basically constantly have to top up the yield reserve. and you can't expect the total market cap of crypto to constantly go up, right? You have to factor in bear market scenarios.
I am not familiar with the latest numbers, but I have pushed back Jeff in like a similar way. Like, how is this sustainable? Like, it just doesn't seem sustainable. This is where I would probably invite the team on, because there's I as I've tried to poke holes in it, I know I've continued to walk away and say, okay, this thing works, you know, and it's continuing to work in a pretty volatile market. Back in May, I think Luna crashed from about $15 down to $3, and the peg held, and they basically didn't live through the same sort of disaster that we all lived through with Maker in March 2020. But good question. I would love to actually have the Orion Money team talk with us about this and the sustainability of it all.
Did they? It seems like they increased the Luna reward during their crash to maintain the APY. So I was I'm actually wondering how much of those APY are from borrowing fee.
Yeah, good point. If anyone's not familiar with this, so there is a distribution reward right now for depositing. Let's say if you deposit your staked Luna and let's say staked Ether, and then you borrow against that, you're actually, you know, you're earning a yield just for doing that. Then you can take that UST and you can, which is what we're focused on here, where you can basically deposit it, and that's where you're earning that 19.5% on Terra, but through Orion Money, it's 16.5%. So one thing, I'll share this in the comments. I would encourage looking over just how this works, and you're going to have probably the same questions that are being asked here. So this would then be, I think, appropriate to have like a follow-up with the Orion team. And actually, I'm pretty sure that the founder of AladdinDAO would probably love to join us too, if we wanted to poke holes in this more.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I don't think I'm giving good answers to any of these, but at least like I guess what I'm saying is like I have the same concerns, so I can appreciate these questions.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess we come to an end, and maybe it's also we see how people vote about this. You know, the thing is, for me myself, if I think I can't think outside of Ethereum EVM, so I don't know Terra at all. So this is like a risk. I don't have any feeling for this risk over there somehow, and this is very strange. You know, just a black hole for me.
This is a good one to start on. For what it's worth, I only started exploring and then using this specifically about 4 months ago. It was like sometime in I think it was August. No, so not even 4 months ago, like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I just, I kept hearing about this Anchor protocol. The Delphi Digital team had like been in my ear, like you really should like do more research on this. Like this is appealing to the greater like DeFi community. And I've been, of course, I would say I'm pretty biased to keeping most money and continuing to use Ethereum because I would say I'm more of a decentralization maximalist. I really think that the future is about something that is truly censorship resistant. And there right now, Terra, what it costs to like even run like a validator. We know it's not as decentralized as Ethereum, but the user base there is very loyal. And again, you look at it and you just say, are these people going to close up shop and walk away from this thing? Can they continue to grow this protocol? And then if you believe in that concept that can something continue to decentralize more over time, there's a lot of arguments about why that can't happen and why it can happen. I'm undecided, so I've just been really interested in what they're building here with Anchor.
Yeah, I more think about risk. It's more about can it somehow just collapse or not. This is the main. And this is not about decentralization. Of course, decentralization is also, there's like
that's our concern. Yeah, we don't want to put something up that would really be, that would just be such a disaster for us. As a DAO. But actually going with that, I think like that thinking, which I'm aligned with, it eliminates so much. I loved the presentation on Lemma Finance. I've reviewed it before. I think they're too new for us to like risk liquidity in it now. But like I do think after we establish processes and more reputation and a real like thriving user base, I think it's worth considering like, can we support protocols that are earlier in their journey that might be a little riskier to support? Because that's the warm and fuzzy of AladdinDAO, is like we can actually help bootstrap liquidity for some of the best new DeFi projects.
It's a big opportunity. But the risk side is just, you see,
Absolutely, yeah. Would it make sense if I probably should just get the Orion Money team into our Discord? Actually, that would make a lot more sense. And then if anybody too after this, just message me if you want an introduction, if you'd like to speak with them. I probably should just set up like a group call though.
Yes, I guess it makes sense, to make maybe just, I think the time is like set because the community is spread from Asia to US, so the time is to be always this time. But I guess it would make sense to just do it.
I think Mr. Block, right, made a good suggestion that we can just invite them to Discord and we can have a channel for each project, right?
Yes.
Right. And so Boule member and, like Aladdin users, right, can all go there and ask questions.
So we should make a channel for each project, you guys? You think? For each project, a new channel?
I think so.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It would be
Okay.
much easier to
Yeah.
it would be much easier to organize and manage. And then also for the the project creator, it's easier for them to communicate with the Boule members.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, what I also guess that the person who brings in the project is some kind of process owner of this project, and this, I think this is natural. He has like the task to push like this stuff forward. Okay. Yeah, so I will make a channel for these two projects, and then we discuss from there, and then we vote. Maybe it's too early to vote. You know what we see. The thing is, we now invite them, and they will present something next week. So should we vote? I guess yes. Maybe we can re-vote. I don't know. These rules aren't not so fixed yet. So
I would be in favor of voting for at least, I think, Orion Money. I mean, I don't know. This is just my personal feeling, but I would be keen to vote on that pretty quickly. I think it would be a good news.
Because if we shoot it down, then anyway, I don't know if we see there's a massive downvote, then maybe it's not worth to explore more.
Yeah. And reminder, the underlying Legos here you need to be aware of are there's a Curve Factory pool. There's Orion Money, which is the one that has the 3 audits on Ethereum. There's Anchor Protocol, totally separate, and then that's on Terra. And then there's also, they're using a bridge that I believe was made by Terraform Labs, kind of like the Ethereum Foundation, but for Terra. So yeah, those are things to consider there. And I messaged the team here just saying, hey, it would be really helpful to get you into our Discord and get more questions asked.
I think in terms of voting timing, right? See how ready people are, right? And I think the purpose is to make informed decision, right? And to vote wisely, right? If we need more time, right, we just need more time to adopt everything and just vote. Right now we have 3 days, right, to give people.
Yes. Yeah.
For people to.
But maybe we need like a a soft process in between, that we make more like a signal vote and see, and then maybe you can. Yeah.
I think the soft vote could be really easy in the Boule channel in Discord, just because you can use the little emojis. So that's pretty. That's a pretty easy way to do that. I would. I mean, based on the questions here, which are questions that I've personally had myself about this, I would definitely advocate for. It feels like we need to ask some follow-up questions here. There's just some unanswered risk that we need to dig into. Especially, I think it was Jeff that asked some questions there that I don't feel like I was able to answer those on behalf of Anchor or on behalf of Orion.
Yeah, I guess we can't vote right now somehow, it's very difficult to make a decision if we integrate these two of them now.
Yeah, I would say, I guess, like, do we need to end here on a vote then, or should we have up to 3 days to vote, right?
Yes. No, we have 3 days until, this was the idea, that we have 3 days research time and then 3 days for each of us to vote,
Oh, I got you. So we're just voting then on like whether to continue to do due diligence on this.
In fact, the idea was to have a vote to integrate or not, So it's.
Oh.
I guess we can't do it at this stage. It's
what does anyone else think here? I mean, like, I'll be blunt. Like, I'm gonna vote yes because I've used it so much.
I also think it's very interesting, but
yeah.
I think
but I see
Anchor
that we
is
look
also like, some of these questions come from concerns around the design of Anchor and the UST Luna relationship, and those are all things that are very well documented. So I definitely feel like there's enough information out there to become clear on whether Anchor is a good project.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just think we shouldn't be too much slave to our structure. We also can discuss how we can improve, so that, because
I hate to have anyone feel like they have to vote yes or it's dead, which is really, like, I personally would like to allow everyone here to ask some of these questions and get some more concrete answers around that. Especially, like, the bridge is something that we really didn't talk as much about, but I'm trying to kind of call that out as it's worth noting. And then I think there's also a question of whether some of these risks should be more bluntly shared on the dashboard eventually. Like, maybe there's like a little eye bubble next to some of these to say, like, hey, these are the major risks that we identified. So if anyone deposits money, like, you should assume that you're exposed to all of this. You never lose telling people everything that you can possibly think of that can go wrong. It's when you don't disclose that, then it's like, what's going on here? Are they like holding back information from us?
No, I think we should. Yeah, sorry, I'm switching between opinions, but we should just continue and vote, and then we will see. It doesn't mean that if we see there's like we can't integrate or there are reasons not to integrate, then we don't do it. This is,
Oh, that's good.
completely.
Okay, so we can vote. So if this were to vote
Yeah.
through, if someone voices some like major concern, we can revisit this then.
Yes, I guess so. It's not automatic. We have to. Somebody has to execute it. You know, it's not.
Oh,
that,
okay. Yeah.
not that
Anyone
then
else have
bang, it's
thoughts though on
integrated.
this?
Yeah, I think that the current process is, okay, right? So 3 days research, and we set up those Discord channels and to interact with the project team and go to ask questions if anybody have anything, and then go for a vote for 3 days, right? And if people say we need more time, right, to look into this, right, and just let's delay that a little bit. I think we can have
Yeah.
the flexibility there.
Cool. I think that's it.
Okay.
Sorry, where would be the voting happen? On the forum or where?
A snapshot on snapshot.
On Snapshot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I made these 2 documents, and maybe we will link from there, or we will communicate it to you. But on
So
Snapshot,
the
you will see it yourself, so it will just pop up there, I guess. Yeah, you all that I've got. You all got the token. Shall I send everyone a vote token? And this is a token for voting.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
By the way, I'm just sharing a few of the links here that I found helpful, and especially like the docs for Anchor Protocol as well. So just in case if anybody wants to look at these, and then I'll reshare these in
Yeah,
I
cool.
will reshare these in Discord.
I don't know how you can save them. Can you save them in Zoom somehow? Ah, yeah, save chat. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, next week I'm not around. I'm taking. I'm in vacation, so somehow we agreed that Tom is taking over part of my role. We will see us 2 weeks again. So, thank you for joining.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes,
Awesome.
that's it.
Thank you.
Nice to see everybody.
Nice.
See you
We're
guys in
opening
Discord.
these two Discord channels right now.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you,
Bye.
That's good.
Thank you, Tom.
See you guys on Discord. Yeah.
Bye everyone. Great to see you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody. Bye.